The story of Emanuela Orlandi, the girl who disappeared in the Vatican, in the quiet town of Great Bato, Essex County, behind the walls of an ordinary house lived a daughter who seemed like a blessing to her aging parents. Virginia McCallow appeared to be the perfect caretaker, devoted, attentive, and always there. But beneath this mask of kindness lurked something far more sinister. This is the shocking story of how a seemingly dedicated daughter transformed her family home into a tomb, living alongside her terrible secret for 4 long years while fooling everyone around her. What drives someone to murder their own parents? How did she manage to keep her dark secret hidden for so long? And what finally led to the discovery of her horrifying crimes? Join us as we uncover the disturbing truth behind one of Britain's most chilling cases of elder abuse and murder. If real stories like this fascinate you, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Each like helps us bring more of these important stories to light, and by sharing, you help others understand how darkness can hide in plain sight. Ring that notification bell to never miss a new video. Rome, 1983, the eternal city baked under the scorching June sun, its ancient streets buzzing with the usual summer crowds. Within the hallowed walls of Vatican City, the Orlandi family went about their day as they had for generations, serving the heart of the Catholic Church with unwavering devotion. But June 22nd would shatter their world forever. 15-year-old Emanuela Orlandi was a typical teenager in many ways, talented at the flute, diligent in her studies, and full of the dreams that come with youth. As the daughter of Ercole Orlandi, a prestigious Vatican employee at the Institute for the Works of Religion, she enjoyed a privileged life within the sacred city's walls. Along with her siblings, 1 brother and 3 sisters, she had grown up exploring the Vatican gardens, their footsteps following the paths their ancestors had walked for over a century. That fateful Wednesday began ordinarily enough. Despite the school year having ended, Emanuela maintained her routine of flute lessons at the Tommaso Ludovico de Victoria Music School near Piazza Navona. At 4:15 p.m., she reluctantly stepped out into the sweltering heat, having hoped her brother Pietro could drive her. But Pietro had other commitments, leaving Emanuela to catch the number 64 bus alone. Something was different about her that day. Her music teacher would later recall how distracted she seemed during the lesson, eventually asking to leave early at 6:50 p.m. The reason became clear when Emanuela called her sister Federica. Before class, she had been approached by a man claiming to represent Avon Products. The offer seemed too good to be true, a generous sum for just 2 hours of handing out flyers at a fashion show. Federica's protective instincts kicked in immediately. The pay was suspiciously high, and she urged her younger sister to return home and discuss it with their parents first. As the sun began to set over Rome's timeless skyline, Emanuela shared the strange job offer with 2 classmates while walking to the bus stop at Corso Rinascimento near the imposing Palazzo Madama. None of them could have known that this ordinary moment, 3 teenage girls chatting by a bus stop, would be the last time anyone would see Emanuela Orlandi. Her disappearance would spark one of Italy's most enduring mysteries, drawing in the Vatican, the Italian mafia, international terrorists, and countless conspiracy theories. It would become a dark shadow over both the Vatican and Rome itself, a reminder that even in the heart of the Catholic Church, some secrets remain buried in darkness. The first signs that something was terribly wrong emerged on the bus ride home. 2 of Emanuela's classmates noticed her deep in conversation with a mysterious red-haired woman, a detail that would later haunt investigators. Emanuela was expected to meet her sister Cristina outside the imposing Tribunale della Cassazione, but she never arrived. As minutes turned to hours, the Orlandi family's concern grew into panic. That evening, the family frantically combed the streets between the Vatican and the music school, their footsteps echoing through Rome's ancient alleys as darkness fell. When they contacted the music school director, hoping for any clue to Emanuela's whereabouts, they found nothing but dead ends. Ercole Orlandi's worst fears were met with indifference when he reported his daughter missing. The police dismissed it as typical teenage behavior, a decision they would come to regret. It wasn't until the following day that the machinery of official investigation finally creaked into motion. Then the phone calls began. First came Pierluigi describing a girl playing the flute in Campo dei Fiori a girl who called herself Barbara and was selling cosmetics. Then Mario, with an eerily similar tale. These calls would prove to be just the first droplets in a coming flood of tips, leads, and false hopes that would torment the family for decades. A breakthrough seemed imminent when a police officer stationed at Palazzo Madama came forward. He had witnessed Emanuela speaking with a man carrying an Avon Cosmetics bag who drove away in a dark green BMW. The lead seemed promising. Investigators traced the car to a female owner and discovered something disturbing. One of its windows had been broken from the inside, as if someone had tried to escape. But just as the investigation gained momentum, the officer who uncovered this vital lead was mysteriously removed from the case, and the promising trail went cold. On July 3, 1983, the case took an extraordinary turn. During the Angelus prayer, Pope John Paul II himself broke Vatican protocol to make a public appeal for Emanuela's safe return. "I am close to the Orlandi family," he declared, his words echoing across St. Peter's Square. The Pope's intervention transformed a local missing persons case into an international mystery. Within days, a new player entered the drama. A man with an American accent contacted the Orlandi family with a chilling proposition: Emanuela's freedom in exchange for the release of Mehmet Ali Acha, the would-be assassin who had attempted to kill Pope John Paul II just 2 years earlier. To prove he wasn't bluffing, the mysterious caller, whom the family dubbed the American, provided evidence that sent chills down their spines: a photocopy of Emanuela's music school registration card, photographs of her sheet music, a tuition receipt, and, most disturbingly, a note in Emanuela's own handwriting. The Vatican's involvement had suddenly transformed a missing person case into something far more sinister: a high-stakes game involving international terrorism, attempted papal assassination, and a 15-year-old girl caught in the middle. The Americans' calls abruptly ceased, leaving behind only questions. The recording of a girl's voice speaking her school's name. Was it truly Emanuela? The family would replay those words in their minds for decades to come, searching for certainty where none existed. Time marched forward, but the mystery only deepened. In 2012, whispers spread through Rome that Emanuela's final resting place might be alongside one of the city's notorious mobsters. When investigators cracked open the tomb, they found nothing but another dead end. The city held its breath again in 2018, when human remains were discovered in an annex of the Holy See's embassy in central Rome, but DNA testing quickly dashed renewed hopes. Then came the letter. In 2018, Laura Sgro, the Orlandi family's lawyer, received a cryptic message containing a photograph that would launch one of the case's most bizarre chapters. The image showed a marble angel, its eternal gaze fixed upon the tombs of German princesses in the Teutonic Cemetery. The accompanying note read like something from a Gothic mystery: "If you want to find Emanuela, search where the angel is looking." The Vatican, in an unprecedented move, authorized the opening of 2 ancient tombs in 2019, the resting places of Princess Sophie von Hohenlohe, 1836, and Princess Carlotta Federica of Mecklenburg, 1840. But in a twist worthy of a Dan Brown novel, investigators found the tombs completely empty. Not only was Emanuela absent, but even the princesses who should have been buried there had vanished into history. Despite 2 major investigations spanning decades, 1983 to 1997 and 2008 and 2015, Emanuela's fate remained shrouded in mystery. But in January 2023, the case found new life. Alessandro Ditti, the Vatican's promoter of justice, reopened the investigation, a decision that came in the wake of Netflix's Vatican Girl documentary and mounting pressure from the Orlandi family on the Italian parliament. On June 22, 2023, exactly 40 years after Emanuela vanished, Ditti announced the discovery of new investigative leads. The development coincided with a groundbreaking parliamentary inquiry launched by the Italian Senate in November 2023, which linked Emanuela's case with another missing girl from the same year, Mirella Gregori. The investigation has brought forward intriguing testimonies from figures like Alberto Laurenti, a musician who knew Emanuela from her music school days, and Domenico Gianni, the former head of the Vatican Gendarmerie. Each new revelation, each witness statement adds another layer to an already complex tapestry. Yet 4 decades later, the central question remains unanswered. What happened to the Vatican girl? The silence of those ancient stones continues to guard their secrets. And now we arrive at perhaps the most haunting question. What became of Emanuela Orlandi? Her disappearance has cast a long shadow over Italy, becoming one of the nation's most enduring mysteries. While resolution remains elusive, several theories have emerged, each more intricate than the last. The first theory begins with a seemingly innocent encounter. On that fateful afternoon, Emanuela called her sister with news that would later send chills down investigators' spines. A man had approached her with a job offer from Avon Cosmetics. This detail might have been dismissed as insignificant except for two witnesses who came forward. They reported seeing a young girl matching Emanuela's description deep in conversation with an unknown man outside her high school. In the context of the 1980s, when kidnappings plagued Italy's streets, investigators theorized this job offer was nothing more than a predator's lure, a cruel deception ending in assault and murder. But there's a darker, more complex theory that emerged years later, one that weaves through the corridors of power in both the criminal underworld and the Vatican itself. In 2008, Sabrina Minardi stepped forward with the explosive confession. As the former mistress of Enrico De Patis, the notorious boss of the Banda della Maliana crime syndicate, she claimed to have intimate knowledge of Emanuela's fate. According to Minardi, De Patis hadn't acted alone. He had orchestrated the kidnapping at the behest of Paul C. Marcinkus, an American archbishop who once presided over the Vatican Bank. The alleged motive? Some believed Emanuela's father, Ercole, possessed damaging information about Marcinkus's activities. The kidnapping, they theorized, was meant to ensure his silence. But there's another layer to this theory, one involving vast sums of money and institutional corruption. The Banda della Maliana had allegedly laundered millions through Banco Ambrosiano, where the Vatican's Opere Religiosi held significant shares. When the bank collapsed in 1982, the gang's fortune vanished with it. Some speculate they saw Emanuela as leverage to recover their losses from the Vatican. In what might be more than coincidence, the Vatican's IOR did eventually restore funds to Banco Ambrosiano's creditors in May 1984. Minardi's testimony included a crucial detail. She claimed to have seen Emanuela after the kidnapping, alive in a car driven by Sergio Virtu, one of De Patis' trusted men, near Lake Ure. This sighting, if true, adds another piece to this intricate puzzle. The trail leads us to Torvegionica, where, according to Minardi, Emanuela was handed over to an unnamed woman. Like pieces of a dark puzzle, each transfer moved her further from home. Months later, she was allegedly passed to a priest at a Vatican gas station, a detail that adds another layer to the Vatican's possible involvement. This account gains weight from another source. A woman close to Sergio Virtu claimed he had cryptically hinted at his role in the girl's disappearance. When confronted by investigators, Sergio Virtu vehemently denied any connection to De Patis or the kidnapping. But the wall of silence began to crack when Maurizio Abatino, another gang member, made a chilling confession. "I've always known that the kidnapping of Emanuela Orlandi was our work." The statement hung in the air like a death knell. Then there's the traffic warden's testimony, a crucial piece of evidence that had been largely overlooked. Working with police artists, he described a man with a green BMW, resulting in a sketch that bore an uncanny resemblance to De Patis. But the connections don't end there. In a twist that would raise eyebrows even among seasoned investigators, Monsignor Piero Vergari, the former rector of Santa Polinare, where Emanuela was last seen, was found to have ties to De Patis. This same priest, already a person of interest, had made an unusual request. He petitioned for De Patis to be buried in the Basilica of Santa Polinare, a sacred space traditionally reserved for cardinals and Vatican dignitaries. The question echoed through Rome's ancient streets. Why would a known criminal be granted such an honor? In 2012, whispers began circulating that Emanuela's remains might lie within De Patis' tomb. The Vatican, responding to the Orlandi family's pleas, authorized an exhumation. But like so many leads in this labyrinthine case, it led nowhere. Then in 2023, the Vatican released documents that cast a shadow over Emanuela's own family circle. These included correspondence between Vatican Secretary of State Agostino Casaroli and the Orlandi family's Colombian spiritual advisor. The documents pointed an accusatory finger at Mario Meneguzzi, Emanuela's uncle by marriage. They alleged he had sexually harassed Natalina, Emanuela's 21-year-old sister, suggesting he might have victimized Emanuela as well. But Pietro Orlandi, Emanuela's devoted brother who has never ceased searching for answers, vehemently defended his uncle. He revealed that police had long ago cleared Meneguzzi, who had an ironclad alibi. He was vacationing with his family 200 kilometers away when Emanuela vanished, only returning to Rome after receiving the devastating call from Emanuela's father. Pietro saw this resurrection of old, discredited suspicions as nothing more than a shameful attempt to deflect attention from other, perhaps more powerful, suspects. The case took an even darker turn just days after the Pope's public plea for Emanuela's return. The Orlandi family began receiving mysterious calls from someone who called himself the American, claiming to represent a terrorist organization. Their demand was chilling in its simplicity. Emanuela's life for the freedom of Mehmet Ali Acha, the very man who had attempted to assassinate Pope John Paul II. As weeks passed, the calls grew more sinister. In one particularly haunting moment, the caller played a recording of a girl's screams. The Orlandi family, through their representative, maintained composure even in their anguish. They were certain the voice didn't belong to Emanuela. This certainty perhaps offered both comfort and despair. Their daughter was not the screaming girl, but where was she? In 1985, from behind prison walls, Mehmet Ali Acha added another layer to the mystery. He confirmed his group's involvement in Emanuela's kidnapping, claiming she was safe, but offering no proof to support his statement. The truth remained as elusive as ever. Decades later, in 2013, a man named Marco Exetti stepped forward with a startling claim. He was the American. According to Exetti, the kidnapping was orchestrated by both lay people and clergy who opposed Pope John Paul II's anti-communist stance. He offered what seemed to be compelling evidence: a black leather flute case that the Orlandi family recognized as similar to Emanuela's. Yet, by 2015, Exetti was acquitted, the investigation closed, and the truth slipped away once again. But Emanuela's disappearance wasn't an isolated incident. 40 days earlier, another 15-year-old girl, Mirella Grigori, vanished after telling her mother she'd return in 10 minutes from meeting a middle school friend named Alessandro. The terrorist group's vague references to Mirella's case led investigators to initially connect the two disappearances. Then came October 27, 1983, when the alleged kidnappers delivered a grim message. Mirella was dead, promising to return her body before Christmas. That promise, like so many in this case, remained unfulfilled. Mirella's body has never been found. 4 decades later, in November 2023, both cases were reopened, their mysteries still crying out for resolution. Another theory emerged from 2 peculiar phone calls. The first came on June 25th from a boy named Pierluigi, who claimed to have spotted a girl matching Emanuela's description in Piazza Navona. The detail that caught everyone's attention: her hair was cut short, perhaps an attempt to alter her appearance. According to Pierluigi, she mentioned running away from home and selling Avon products to support herself, a detail that eerily connected back to the stranger's job offer on the day she disappeared. 3 days later, another caller identifying himself as Mario offered new information. As the owner of a bar near Ponte Vittorio, strategically located between the Vatican and Emanuela's school, his account would add yet another piece to this increasingly complex puzzle. The runaway theory gained credibility when Mario mentioned a girl named Barbara who planned to return home for her sister's wedding. This detail resonated powerfully. Emanuela's sister Natalina was indeed planning a September wedding, but like every lead in this labyrinthine case, it led to another, darker path. Living within Vatican walls meant the Orlandi family breathed the same air as some of the world's most powerful religious figures. This proximity would spawn one of the most controversial theories yet. Pietro Orlandi, who has dedicated his life to finding the truth about his sister, made a startling claim. The Vatican's elite knew exactly what happened to Emanuela. Their silence, he believed, spoke volumes. In 2012, an explosive accusation emerged from an unexpected source. Father Gabriele Amorth, the Vatican's chief exorcist at age 85, broke ranks to make a chilling allegation. Emanuela had been kidnapped by a member of the Vatican police for a sex trafficking ring. More disturbingly, he claimed her disappearance and subsequent murder involved a foreign embassy's complicity. The darkness of this theory deepened when one of Emanuela's friends came forward with a haunting revelation. Days before vanishing, Emanuela had confided that a high-ranking Vatican cleric had sexually harassed her in the Vatican gardens. This testimony cast a shadow over the holy institution. Though it wasn't unprecedented, the Catholic Church had faced similar accusations before. Then came a moment that sent chills through the Orlandi family. In 2013, during his first Mass as Pope, Francis spotted them in the crowd and made an unexpected pronouncement: "Emanuela is in heaven." These 4 words haunted Pietro and his mother. How could the Pope speak with such certainty about Emanuela's fate? What did he know that they didn't? The mystery took another turn in 2017 when Italian journalist Emiliano Fittipaldi published what he claimed was a leaked Vatican document. This explosive document allegedly detailed Vatican expenses from 1983 to 1997, expenses used to conceal Emanuela's movements. According to these records, she had been secretly living in London under the protection of Catholic priests until her death in 1997. The Vatican swiftly dismissed these claims as false and ridiculous, but the questions lingered. Looking back through the fog of 40 years, we can piece together what likely happened on that fateful June day in 1983. The most compelling theory emerges from a web of witness statements, circumstantial evidence, and Vatican intrigue. Emanuela Orlandi fell victim to a sophisticated operation by the Banda della Maliana, orchestrated by De Pedis himself. The sequence appears grimly methodical. 2 police officers witnessed Emanuela speaking with a man beside a green BMW, a crucial detail that would later resonate when their sketch bore an uncanny resemblance to De Pedis. The Avon job offer was likely just bait, and when Emanuela showed initial interest but later hesitated after speaking with her sister, De Pedis' team adapted. The mysterious woman spotted by Emanuela's classmates was probably an accomplice, deployed to persuade a reluctant target. But why would a notorious crime boss target a 15-year-old Vatican citizen? 2 motives surface repeatedly. First, the Banda della Maliana may have seen Emanuela as leverage to recover millions lost in the Banco Ambrosiano collapse. Alternatively, and perhaps more chillingly, De Pedis might have been merely a hired hand, tasked with silencing Emanuela's father, who potentially possessed damaging evidence against Vatican officials. The Vatican's behavior only deepens these suspicions. Their persistent refusal to share investigation details with both authorities and the grieving Orlandi family raises troubling questions. Pope Francis's unexpected declaration that Emanuela is in heaven seems particularly telling. How could he speak with such certainty about a case where even death remained unconfirmed? Then there's the mounting evidence of Vatican involvement, the leaked financial documents, Father Amorth's explosive testimony as chief exorcist, and perhaps most damning, the recently uncovered chat messages between Vatican insiders. The exchange between Francesca Immacolata Ciauchi, a Vatican PR representative, and Monsignor Lucio Angel Valleobalda, Secretary of the Prefecture of Economic Affairs, is particularly chilling. In September, we have to make that Orlandi thing disappear and pay the tomb raiders. That Orlandi thing has to disappear, and you have to mind your own business. While these messages and testimonies don't provide conclusive proof of collusion between the Vatican and the Italian mafia, they cast long shadows over both institutions. The evidence, though circumstantial, weaves a pattern that's difficult to ignore. The question remains, were these powerful entities directly responsible for Emanuela's disappearance, or are they merely guardians of dark secrets, protecting themselves through decades of silence? The 2023 investigation offers a glimmer of hope in this 40-year darkness. For the Orlandi family, particularly Pietro, who has never ceased his quest for truth, each new inquiry reignites the possibility of answers. Their story is more than a mystery. It's a testament to a family's undying love and relentless pursuit of justice. Perhaps now, as the Vatican's walls begin to show cracks and long-held secrets seep through, the truth about Emanuela Orlandi will finally emerge from the shadows. Until then, she remains what she has been for 4 decades, a teenage girl who walked into a summer afternoon and vanished, leaving behind a family still waiting for her to come home.